be really ready for this because, like, you think you're ready, but then when you come here, it's unbelievable.
Hey, welcome to the World Series of Poker.
The World Series of Poker, the greatest spectacle in the game.
Everything's bigger and better, baby.
The drama.
No!
The excitement.
Ooh, baby!
The tradition. The glory. It all starts tonight.
You have to play in the World Series because the energy is amazing.
All records will be broken.
I'll get goosebumps on that first day. It's like Christmas.
I'm feeling lucky!
This is pure poker. I want to be at full power. Full power. Full power, baby!
All systems are go at the World Series of Poker.
Shuffle up and deal.
Welcome back to the Rio for the premiere of the 2007 World Series of Poker, presented by Milwaukee's Best Light.
You city!
Tonight we kick things off with the $5,000 mixed hold'em final table. When this marquee event began, many of poker's biggest names were here.
Oh, another day in the office.
But it was mostly new faces who survived to our final table, including one young man who has a shot at history, Steve Billirakis.
Less than 2 weeks after his 21st birthday, Steve with a chance to become the youngest bracelet winner ever at the World Series.
To his right is Kirk Morrison, who was one of the young guns in the 90s. He ran with a group of friends that included Daniel Negreanu and Alan Cunningham.
And there is Fred Berger, our chip leader, the senior member at this final table at the age of 58.
Berger leads the field right now by 171,000 chips. Two Canadians, second and third. And John Turner is the short stack at the moment with 182,000 chips. Over 536,000 going to the winner of this mixed hold'em event.
In this event, they play a round of no-limit hold'em, then a round of limit hold'em, and so on. It's one of the many different forms of poker they play at the World Series.
There's Greg Mueller, a former pro hockey player.
Don't be nervous, bud.
It's the shot clock.
I think Steve just started shaving day before yesterday.
The blinds are 15 and 30,000. We are playing a limit hold'em. The limit's 30 and 60,000. On the Milwaukee's Best Light pocket cam, Jack 10 of spades for Steve Billirakis.
Lon, to be in this room at this World Series of Poker, all is right on earth. Where would you rather be?
Nowhere, Norman. Billirakis is going to raise it up. He makes it 2 bets, twice the limit, in this case 60,000. And Steve, Paul-Ambrose with ace-10.
Paul-Ambrose made his own personal history by winning a WPT title last year, $1.3 million.
And he will re-raise. You see it says raise 90,000. That means it is a raise to 90,000. Now Tony George from Mesquite, Nevada, he folds to the small and big blind. They both give it up, so action back to Billirakis. You see he'll need 30,000 to call.
And it's the 21-year-old against the 23-year-old right now.
And Billirakis will make the call. 6 more orange chips go in the pot. And we do have heads up. Steve Paul-Ambrose versus Steve Billirakis. The flop, King 9 Jack. Billirakis with a pair of jacks. Both have straight draws. Paul-Ambrose bets 30,000.
Paul-Ambrose hoping there would be no call from Billirakis. There is a call, and now Paul-Ambrose has got to take a look at plan B.
Billirakis with the advantage. Turn card 2 of clubs. Misses both players. Billirakis checks again. Paul-Ambrose bets again.
Well, plan B is the same as plan A. Keep bluffing at the pot and hope Billirakis has a school bus to catch. And you can immediately see the difference between no limit and limit. In limit, it's harder to push someone off a hand. You can only bet a set amount.
Billirakis commits the other 60,000 and Paul-Ambrose shoots him a look. What are you up to? And another jack on the river. Billirakis gets the check mark, which means he'll win the hand if he doesn't fold.
And what Billirakis is up to right now is making a river bet and taking down a nice pot.
And indeed, he will lead out with 60,000.
Fear the closed mouth bet.
And look at Steve Paul-Ambrose. Doesn't know what he got himself into.
Yeah, Paul-Ambrose can only beat a bluff right now. And like the old saying goes, call if you don't like money. He just has ace high against Billirakis.
And Paul-Ambrose will make the call and see that he is beat.
And a victory swill of water for Steve Billirakis.
And the youngest of the young, 21-year-old Steve Billirakis takes a pot of over $500,000, kicks things off in fine style at this very first final table. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2007 World Series of Poker, along with Norman Chad. I'm Lon McCarran. Norman, last year when Jeff Madsen won the first of his 2 gold bracelets, just 39 days after his 21st birthday, he became the youngest bracelet winner of all time, and we thought we were witnessing an unbreakable record.
Well, we shouldn't think, Lon, because now there's Steve Billirakis, 21 years and 11 days old. Sure, he doesn't have the chip lead, he's hardly ever played Limit Hold'em, and he's barely legal to do anything that's fun in this country. But he's got a chance to set the new impossible-to-break record.
After that nice win over Steve Paul-Ambrose, Billirakis now has moved into second place on the chip count at this championship table. Speaking of champions,
Chip leader yet?
Greg Raymer.
I played one hand real bad.
How did this donkey get to the table? What's up, Greg? I remember you calling my raise and drawing 4 and triple draw.
And beating you.
On 4.
And beating you.
That's the donkey.
Yeah. Call him a split 4s and
You'd
2
be
4s
broke in the
open.
poker world if you didn't have drawing power.
I know Fossil Man can afford long pants. Come on, dress like it's the World Series. Jeez.
All right, remember we're playing Limit Hold'em right now. Limits at 30 and 60,000.
That means before and after the flop, you can bet or raise in increments of 30,000. After the turn in the river, you can bet or raise 60,000.
And Morrison has opted to raise to 60,000 with Ace-King offsuit, and Tony George also has Ace-King.
Tony's got the better hand, though, Lon, because he has the Ace of Spades, the prettiest card in the deck.
Well, it will be interesting to see how these two play identical cards of Ace-King.
Well, they say in poker you play the man, not the cards. When you have the same cards, you got to be a real man to win the hand.
Morrison and George now to the flop. It is deuce 4, deuce rainbow. We will have a split pot if they both stay in to the end. Morrison checks.
Well, whoever bets first here might be able to take it down.
Morrison checked. It's 30,000 from Tony George and a call from Kirk Morrison.
Not so fast, my gaming executive friend, Mr. Morrison says.
It's an ace on the turn. That, of course, hits them both. Morrison first to act again. He checks.
Each of them has got to believe he has the best hand right now.
And in this test of wills, George bets 60,000. Morrison announces a raise. He's going to make it 120,000 total.
And George has to wonder if he stepped into something nasty at the moment.
George makes the call, so with identical hands, the betting on the river will be critical to the outcome. Tray of hearts on the river, and Morrison will be first to act. And he's going to make it 60,000. And George immediately makes the call.
Well, honestly, for one more bet there, I don't think George could have folded. He was getting 10 for 1 on his money.
Wow.
And indeed, a split pot, ace-king for each. Morrison and George take their money back.
Tie goes to the ace of spades, doesn't
I
it?
didn't think you liked the ace. I thought you had kings or queens. When he check raised you, I thought you hated it. Yeah.
I looked at you real quick. You're like, oh, good God, kill me.
But everyone's still alive at this first final table.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Milwaukee's Best Light.
Welcome back to the Rio and the 2007 World Series of Poker. There is the beautiful mixed Hold'em gold bracelet in a nicely appointed display case befitting its importance. And we have some more poker's royalty visiting this championship table. Daniel Negreanu is here.
Negreanu and Kirk Morrison each won a bracelet in 1998. And when Daniel won, he was the youngest bracelet winner at that time at age 23.
If you do get knocked out, you get knocked out early tonight. I'll come over tonight. We'll do that DVD. I'll show you that DVD.
All right, well, don't even worry about that. You're not getting knocked out.
That's right, baby.
You ain't, I'm not. Got a lot of work to do.
Kirk and Daniel became friends in the early 90s and were part of a group of great young players. But while the others flourished in the poker boom, Kirk's life took a different direction.
Came out to Vegas when I was 20 years old. It was just me, Daniel, John, Alan, and Lane Flack. And we just all hung out. And those times are good.
Back then, we were part of like the young guns. You know, there wasn't too many young guys like us.
I think the first event I played at the World Series, I cashed, but I wasn't very humble, I don't think. I don't like the person I was becoming at that time, you know. Got myself mixed up with sports betting. I had a ton of money, then I'd be broke. Ton of money, I'd be broke. It was a vicious cycle. I was gonna die a young man the way I lived my life. And finally, I just cracked, and I said, you know, the heck with this. I gotta get out of here, so I just left.
You see, and you know, he didn't even know really what was going on with poker today.
That's what I realized is got big again, and I've come back, and I'm looking to do some really big things here.
How you doing, mate?
My perspective has changed immensely. I can be happy in having 2 dimes in my pocket, and I'm still Kirk.
Kirk had $3,000 in his pocket the first time he came to Las Vegas to play blackjack full time. He said it lasted about 2 hours.
Anybody want a beer?
Yes.
You want a beer? Fred, do you want a beer? No. Apple juice?
I gotta eat something.
Yeah. Are you old enough to drink?
No, I'm good, thanks. I'm good. I'm not old enough to drink. Yeah.
That's why I asked if he's old enough to drink.
I feel like I'm doing something wrong.
Well, that's good. I'll get you two.
Steve couldn't even order a drink 2 weeks ago. Kirk trying to corrupt him pretty quickly. Fred hasn't been carded in a long time.
He is the owner of a company that imports Mardi Gras beads down in New Orleans. Limits still at 30 and 60,000. Our chip leader is going to make a raise to 60,000 with pocket jacks.
And if you're the first person entering a pot, you really should raise almost every time. You never should smooth call.
Ace queen offsuit for Greg Mueller, and he's going to raise it up himself to 90,000. As you see, it's 30,000 to call for Berger with his pocket jacks, but he's going to raise now to 120,000.
Berger not shy, and he shouldn't be with his hand, and Mueller does call.
So these two finally finish the betting. To the flop, queen, 4-5 all clubs. Mueller in great shape, 2 queens and 4 clubs.
And that flop might slow Fred Berger down.
Well, Berger wants to see where he's at with his jacks, bets 30,000, and Mueller makes the call.
Lon, if you were Mueller, I think you would have raised there.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Chad. Turn card, another 4, Mueller with queens up. Of course, Berger with jacks up, but second best. Berger still needing cards to catch up at 60,000, and Mueller almost beats him in the pot.
Well, I think Fred believes he has the best hand, and frankly, Mueller might even think Fred has the best hand.
6 of hearts on the river. Mueller earns the check mark. Berger first to act, and not so quick to act this time. But indeed, he will put in 60,000.
You got to have 2 kings here, huh, Fred?
Pocket king's about the only thing I think that really could worry Greg Mueller. I just don't see how Mueller can lay this down.
Great flop for my hand, too.
Now, even if he's convinced he's beat, it's one more bet, and he's getting like 9-1 on his money.
The pause on the river, I mean.
Berger changed pace on Mueller late in the hand.
Too much in there, I call.
He does make the call, and Mueller will like what he sees.
Nice hand.
Mueller's instinct said he was beat, but the math said he had to call. Thank goodness for the math.
Keep a lot of respect, Fred, you know.
Berger gets the respect, but Mueller gets the chips, enough to take over the chip lead at this championship table at the World Series of Poker. Back at the Rio, a no-limit hand already underway. Fred Berger in the middle of it. His pocket queens are poised to knock out 25-year-old John Turner, who holds 2 overcards going to the river.
Berger has a 25-year-old on the edge. Turner will need an ace or a king, or he is gone.
And now the river card. It is a 5 of clubs, and that will end John Turner's first trip to a World Series final table. He goes out in 8th place and will take home almost $47,000.
You'll be back.
Beats working at the Dairy Queen.
Turner impressed a lot of people here in this tournament and goes out in 8th place, taken out by Fred Berger, who adds over 350,000 chips to his stack. There's his wife, June.
They've been married 41 years. All my marriages totaled 41 months.
Berger back into 2nd place after that win. Greg Mueller, the only player over 1 million chips, leads the way. Billirakis still in 4th place. Kirk Morrison is now the short stack at this table and will need to get active quickly to keep in the running for the bracelet. Meanwhile, out in the Rio Poker Room, there is always plenty of action, usually several tournaments going on simultaneously, everyone seeking a championship or a chance at Player of the Year. Alan Cunningham is always a strong threat to be Player of the Year. It's a title that carries a lot of weight. At the World Series of Poker, winning a bracelet is everyone's goal. Yeah! But for the game's elite, the true measure of greatness in this poker marathon is the Player of the Year award.
You really have to step up your game and play every single day. So Player of the Year is a little bit of an endurance contest.
In recent years, top pros like Negreanu and Cunningham took down the title. Last year, it was unknown Jeff Madsen. He became the youngest player to win a bracelet, then promptly won another to secure Player of the Year status.
The greatest poker players in the world come here, and history and greatness are going to be measured here.
55 tournaments, 55 bracelets, 1 Player of the Year. Every single day, this room is filled with thousands of poker players. Which one of them will be the Player of the Year? Meanwhile, the current title holder, Jeff Madsen, has joined our final table crowd.
And he could be enjoying his final moments as the youngest bracelet winner ever. Steve Billirakis has his sights on that right now.
Back to limit hold'em, and the limits have been raised to 40 and 80,000. Fred Berger, you saw his whole cards of ace-8, will make a raise to 80,000.
Fred may have a betting disorder that is untreatable.
Roger McDowell and Greg Mueller fold over to Kirk Morrison with pocket tens.
Raise it.
And the short stack is going to raise it up to 120,000.
Kirk's been playing golf with Daniel Negreanu just about every other day. Trust me, golf is going to ruin poker.
What are you doing?
4 bets.
4 bets? Oh my God, son of a...
Pocket queens for Paul-Ambrose, and he'll pop it another 40 from the big blind and make it 160,000 to play.
And that should make short order of Fred Berger's weak ace.
Berger not gone yet.
Kirk, how much you have left there?
I have 100,000 and a bracelet. You got 50,000. Oh, 50,000. All right.
It's not a World Series bracelet. It's not worth much.
Do you have one of these, though? All right.
I'd like to have one, though.
No, you don't. I bought the same one. It's 1995, and it comes with pants.
Kirk gave the bracelet he won in 1998 to his dad. He'd love to win another one so he can present it to his mom. And Berger will get out of the way.
You want to chop it? No? How much more to me is it then?
40 more, and then you have 10 on top of that?
Yeah.
And Morrison will make the call with his pocket tens. He's left with 10,000 more.
Yeah, he's actually going to hold on to his last 10,000. I tried to do that in my second marriage, still lost it.
What? Hey! Betting blind.
Steve Paul-Ambrose is betting in the dark, puts in the 10,000 that would put Morrison all in after the flop. Morrison wants to hang on to those chips just until the flop comes out. There's the flop. Oh, it's a set of queens for Paul-Ambrose.
And Morrison should muck his hand now, but he can't. Those last 2 chips are going north of the border.
Hey, that's the one thought maybe you should have folded.
He does put the chips in and sees the 3 queens.
Boys.
Kirk Morrison needs a lifeline. He thinks he's done.
Well, right now, I think he's missing the yoga and the beach in New Zealand. Morrison's going to need running hearts or running tens.
Right to go.
I don't like the running tens. It happens all the time. 2 running tens.
Paul-Ambrose with a shot at knocking off Morrison.
You got a sweat. Sweat!
Turn card. Oh, there's a heart.
Yes, I told you.
He gets a sweat.
Sweat!
Halfway to his miracle.
Can I sweat it? Can I sweat it first? Can I sweat first on Ben's sides? I'll play Baccarat on this hand.
If you're going to go down, this is the way to go down with a smile. He needs a heart or he's out.
Heart!
River card. It's a spade.
We were running it twice, weren't we?
They can't run it twice. The likable Kirk Morrison gone in 7th place. He wins almost $64,000.
Morrison had gone away for a long time. He just seems at home at a poker table.
All right, take care. Good luck, guys.
Paul-Ambrose takes the pot, but Kirk Morrison made quite a splash in his return to the World Series spotlight.
I'm very pleased, man. More than the poker side of things and the money side of things is I've gotten back in contact with some really good friends, and everybody's. This has been fantastic. That means more to me than $20 or $30 million.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Milwaukee's Best Lights.
Welcome back to the Rio. Action already underway at this championship table. Roger McDowell is all in. Fred Berger has a pair of 4s. Greg Mueller leads the way with a pair of aces. McDowell's at risk, but he's got straight and flush draws.
McDowell needs a jack or a spade to stay alive.
And now the river card. A queen of clubs. McDowell is done. Side pot between Berger and Mueller.
I had 12 outs on the river.
And he missed each and every one of them. Greg Mueller turns over his winning aces up He'll take the side pot from Berger, and Roger McDowell in his first World Series of Poker final table goes out in 6th place, winning almost $85,000.
McDowell, a Las Vegas resident, never got anything going at this final table. Greg Mueller's got a lot going right now.
Yeah, Mueller proving once again to be quite the poker player, but several years ago, this Canadian native made a living in a very different fashion as a professional hockey player.
I played hockey for a living for 9 years in Europe. In 1994, we won a German championship with Munich, and I was the captain of a team 1 year. On the long, numerous bus trips, we got a little bored and decided to play some cards. I've always been a games person and strategist, and when I retired from hockey, went right into poker. It's a competition, and just like playing hockey, it's very competitive. And winning the bracelet or winning the Stanley Cup, it's all about competing, and I'm definitely a competitor.
Obviously, I had it.
Getting close is one thing, but winning a bracelet is huge, and I would really love to win a bracelet. It's the title of being a world champion. There's not that many world champions around, you know?
This is the first event of the World Series, and you're trying to tell me a Canadian is going to win? Hey, America is the nation of gamblers. Canada's just a nation of nice people.
Well, right now it is Greg Mueller in the lead at this championship table, the only player over 2 million chips. Billirakis stuck in 4th place. Fred Berger right now is the short stack at this table.
And this Steve Paul-Ambrose is another Canadian. I don't like it. I don't like it at all, Lon. Hey, there's Fred Berger. Thank goodness for him. Louisiana, USA.
Berger with ace deuce as action gets back to limit hold'em with the limit 60 and 120,000. Berger with a raise to 120,000. Mueller gets out of the way. Action now on Steve Billirakis with a chance to become the youngest World Series bracelet winner of all time, a suited ace-jack.
Billirakis played hearts from the ages of 12 to 16. Says there was no money in it. That's why he switched to poker.
Maybe that's why he's raising with the 2 hearts from the big blind. Action back to Berger. Berger makes the call. These two to the flop. 5, 10, queen, 2 hearts for Billirakis. And he'll bet with a better ace and a flush draw. 60,000. Berger is going to re-raise all in. And immediately Billirakis makes the call.
And Fred Berger in a heap of trouble for his tournament life.
Wow.
Billirakis with an opportunity to knock off the former chip leader.
I had deuce 5. 1-year-old's gone.
I'm very glad to hear that.
Billirakis, by the way, was Charlie Sheen's stunt double in Major League.
Just don't chop it in there.
I don't see Billirakis as a wild thing.
A king and then a jack. Kind of rooting for it. You're rooting for him? I mean, he's a nice guy.
Mueller taking sides, playing with the kid's head a little bit.
Berger all in. The turn, 6 of spades. That's a blank for Fred Berger.
Berger down to just 2 cards in the deck. Billirakis about to knock Berger off. He'll need a non-heart deuce to stay alive.
Now the river card. It's a 10. Billirakis takes the pot. Fred Berger goes out the door in 5th place, winning over $108,000.
Yo, Jeff, the ink's not even dry on your record. It could be gone soon. Ha!
Billirakis gets a lot stronger, over 600,000 chips. His quest to be the youngest bracelet winner ever is still alive. Although 55 bracelets are up for grabs, not all are created equal. The main event bracelet is the single most coveted prize in poker.
Every poker player dreams of winning the main event at the World Series of Poker.
It's like having a Super Bowl ring.
If you want to be a world champion of poker, you need to have won the main event.
Poker's elite once dominated the main event, but in recent years, amateurs and relative unknowns have bested fields of thousands, and last year the winner was as good as gold.
For a poker player, winning the World Series is the most important thing. The money is nice, but it's all about the bracelet.
Can a pro recapture poker's greatest prize, or will a new name once again emerge? The main event, where poker history is made.
I got Phil Ivey. Who do you got?
You always take Ivey. I'm taking Roland DeWolf.
Roland DeWolf? You wouldn't recognize him if he sat in your lap.
Our coverage of the main event begins on August 21st. In this event, we're four-handed. Greg Mueller leads the way. Steve Billirakis trying to make history. He's in 3rd place.
He's a kid with a dream.
Billirakis has his buddies and roommates cheering him on from the stands. They say that Steve has no friends, that they're just there to mooch off of him. Paul-Ambrose with the limits at 60 and 120. Still, he has ace-queen. He's going to raise it up to 120,000. Action around to Mueller. He folds. Next up, Billirakis, who is known in the online poker world as Mr. Smoky 1.
21 years old, huh? You know, Lon, last week I was master of ceremonies of a preschool no-limit tournament. A lot of good young talent there.
Billirakis is going to make the call from the big blind. The flop, couple of deuces and a 9, and Billirakis takes control with 2 pair 9s and deuces. He checks it. Paul-Ambrose with a strong ace bet 60,000.
Now he's going to posture just with the ace high, and the thing is, Lon, in limit games you have to catch cards. You can't make as many moves.
Billirakis comes back with a raise, makes it a 120 total. See, Paul-Ambrose needs 60,000 to call, and he does.
Well, calling here, I guess he's thinking maybe he can take the pot away later in the hand.
Turn card, a 9 of diamonds, and Billirakis takes the check mark with another 9. Full house, 9s over deuces, and he's going to make it 120,000.
Nothing that Paul-Ambrose can do now but just bemoan his luck. All he has is ace high. I can't believe he's calling again. This is the second time he's banking on ace high against Billirakis, and it's his downfall.
All right, here we go to the river. It is an 8 of spades. Of course, Billirakis with a check mark makes it another 120,000.
Boy, you know, Paul-Ambrose.
61-21.
I don't know what he's still doing here, Lon. I'm a big fan of recycling, but his cards I'm thinking you just throw into the garbage. The problem for Paul-Ambrose was calling on the turn, almost committed him to calling on the river, and it's going to end up being close to $500,000 that he's going to throw into this pot, and he was drawn dead on the turn.
Definitely pot committed. He is going to make the call. And a big pot taken from a key opponent, and Steve Billirakis just got a lot stronger. They may be young, but Billirakis and friends are confident they will make their names here at the World Series. They have moved into a house together and are living and loving the poker dream in Las Vegas.
Full house nuts. Ship it.
Being in a house like this with all these players is great. You learn a lot from just watching everyone's different styles just because they're so good.
I'm the oldest, so everybody kind of looks up to me.
Gambling, it seems like back in the day used to be something for like the older folks. But it seems like right now it's like the younger people that are coming up. So it's kind of like we're sticking together and, you know, trying to help each other. So our generation is going to be the best players in the world.
Before I turned 21, watching all my friends play the World Series, I'm just like, God, I wish I could play. They're playing for $12 million in such a huge tournament. So I just play like every single day. Every game almost.
That's garbage.
Now that I'm 21, I'd like to win a bracelet. I've been waiting for this for 3 years. It's time to show everyone that I'm for real, you know?
Billirakis and his buddies played online, then met at Turning Stone in New York, an Indian casino where you only have to be 18 years old to play.
And he says 2 of the 19-year-olds are better players than he is. So look for them in the future. On Milwaukee's Best Light Pocket Cam, pocket aces for Billirakis. Wow.
It's nice to be 21 years and 11 days old with pocket aces at a World Series final table.
He limps in with the aces. Jack 8 for Steve Paul-Ambrose in the big blind. Checks his option. These two will go heads up again to the flop, and it is 7, 10, Jack, all diamonds. Paul-Ambrose picks up a Jack and a straight draw.
Yeah, that looks like a decent flop for Paul-Ambrose, but it could be disastrous because he's still behind, and Billirakis now with the flush draw.
60,000 from Billirakis, a raise to 120 from Paul-Ambrose.
Raise.
And another raise now from Billirakis. And once again, Billirakis has Paul-Ambrose just where he wants him.
The thing is, Paul-Ambrose knows Billirakis is hyper-aggressive, but that's a no limit. We're in the limit round here, and Paul-Ambrose is short-stacked. If he commits here and ends up losing this hand, by the river, he could be out of all his chips.
It's 60,000 to call, and it's 60,000 into the pot. To the turn, Billirakis with a big advantage with those aces, and now a set on the turn. Billirakis all but closes the door.
Boy, this is like the Reagan-Mondale election. Every few moments, the guy who's losing falls even further behind. And Paul-Ambrose, unfortunately, keeps misreading the strength of Steve Billirakis' hand.
It's going to take $120,000 to call.
And Paul-Ambrose has just called himself into a disaster here. He's only got 2 bets left, and in fact, he's going to raise the rest of his chips here.
He raises all in and a call. This is the degree all-in moment. Steve Paul-Ambrose at risk of being knocked out and in need of a miracle.
Who's that? That's yesterday's news, pal. That's who.
One card left, perhaps, in Steve Paul-Ambrose's tournament.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was it,
I had 1-9.
Was it the diamond?
No, it wasn't. I believe it was a black 9. I'm telling the truth. I had 9-5.
1 out?
1? Down to
No,
one.
he's got 2 outs.
The 9 of diamonds is no good. And you didn't have, and you had a 9 in your hand.
Yeah, so there's 2 9s left.
What do I know, man?
You guys need help reading the board, just let me know.
All right, I got you.
Paul-Ambrose needs a non-diamond 9 or he is out of here.
River card now is a 9, but the diamond! Oh, wow!
Who couldn't see that coming?
What a card! Steve Paul-Ambrose hit the straight on the river, but Billirakis made his winning flush with the same card. Paul-Ambrose gone in 4th place, and Steve Billirakis wins the million-chip pot.
The Degree All-In Moment is brought to you by Degree Men. More power than you need. One day you'll need it.
Back at the Rio action, in this hand already underway. Tony George moved all in with pocket 5s. Greg Mueller made the call with ace-king. After the flop, Mueller has a straight draw, but George still leads, trying to double up. Turn card now is a 6, and Tony George still leads.
Mueller would need an ace or a king or a queen for a straight to knock out Tony George.
The river to come.
1 time, ship it to Canada.
And the river card. Oh, it's a queen! Mueller wins it and knocks out Tony George. George will go out in 3rd place and win over $218,000.
Good luck.
Yeah! Very good play, man.
And Greg Mueller hit his card on the river. Mueller supporters chanting his nickname FBT, which stands for full-blown tilt.
Mueller ecstatic to be going heads up for his first bracelet. And Jeff Matson on the move.
Hey, man.
Talking with Steve Billirakis.
That changes your life, so yeah, good luck, dude.
Matson, a class act with some words of encouragement with the man who could replace him in the record books.
Good luck, though, for sure.
I know this much. Billirakis will not win a bracelet sitting in that gallery.
This tournament started with 451 players. Now we're heads up at the mixed Hold'em final table. The first World Series of Poker bracelet of 2007 will go to either Greg Mueller or Steve Billirakis.
And what a symbol, the changing guard in Pokerlawn. We've seen the young guns emerge in recent years, and now at the first event of this World Series, we could see the youngest gun ever win a bracelet.
That would be Steve Billirakis. He and Mueller very even in chip count. Mueller with an advantage of about 200,000 chips.
You've got to favor Mueller here. He's solid in no limit and excellent in limit. And Billirakis never even played limit poker till this tournament. He had his online friends school him before the event started.
And heads up starts with no limit action. Ace-7 of diamonds for Billirakis. He raised it to 120,000 and pocket kings for Mueller.
I'm going to raise.
And Mueller announces raise.
Mueller is 37 years old, says he's never had a losing year in poker.
Mueller makes it a total of 375. It'll cost Billirakis another 255,000 to call. And he will make the call.
And every step a little more treacherous when it's no limit. We are in the no limit round.
Mueller likes the thrill of no limit, which every hand could be your last. Ace, queen, jack. Billirakis with a pair of aces and the nut flush draw. Mueller checks his straight draw.
See how Steve covers his mouth? When he doesn't cover his mouth, he tends to shout out profanities in Latin.
Billirakis with a big bet now, 420,000.
Yes.
And even with the overcard on the board, Mueller makes the call.
Mueller knows he's probably ahead if Billirakis does not have an ace. Of course, Billirakis has the ace. Madson's rooting for Mueller. You know it and I know it.
All right, the turn card. Billirakis way ahead, and Billirakis with a check mark, and he hits the flush. Mueller with the kings, checks again. And now Billirakis with a nut flush. A pot of almost 1.6 million chips. He's reaching for those peach chips worth $25,000 each. And Billirakis will bet $660,000.
And I think this is a good play and a good read by Billirakis. If he thought Mueller was weak, he might have checked here and hoped Mueller made something on the river. But I think he thinks Mueller has a strong enough hand to consider calling this 660,000 chip bet.
Billirakis with that check mark. He has the best hand. Mueller with pocket kings. Can he get rid of them? He does indeed.
Mueller makes the proper read, figures his kings weren't good, and as it turns out, Billirakis couldn't get another dime out of the veteran.
First blood drawn and heads up by Steve Billirakis, much to the delight of his buddies and roommates.
Mueller looks like he wants to hip check somebody right now.
I don't know if I want to watch anymore.
Oh, maybe Madsen doesn't care who wins.
Now that win by Billirakis gives the young poker player a big chip lead over Mueller.
Well, it looks like Madsen's out the door. Maybe he can't bear to watch his record get broken.
Well, Madsen's only hope for keeping the record is to have Greg Mueller come from behind and take out Steve Billirakis.
Well, things could have been a lot worse for Greg Mueller. He made a really good fold in that last hand. Remember, the cost of being wrong is much more expensive in no limit than it is in limit.
Blinds have been increased to 25 and 50,000. Mueller limps in with an offsuit 9-8. Pocket jacks for Billirakis. Billirakis in the big blind. And he's going to raise it up now to 175,000. We continue the no limit action, and Mueller will make the call of 125,000 more. So these two go to the flop. It is deuce, ace, ace. No help to Mueller. Billirakis all but closing the door on Mueller. Billirakis checks. Mueller does likewise. The turn card is a 6 of clubs, and now with aces and jacks, Billirakis earns the check mark. And he's going to come out firing 275,000.
Nothing in the flop, nothing in the turn for Greg Mueller.
But still, he's going to commit chips. He makes the call.
Yeah, he's calling with no draw. He's drawn dead.
A river card is a 10 of clubs. Billirakis already had the check mark. He checks, gives control away.
Now, just put a third club out there.
And now Mueller is going to fire. Wow, 550,000 with 9-8.
Well, as it turns out, Mueller was calling on the turn to bluff on the river. That is a great poker face in profile. And if I'm Steve Billirakis, you know, I can't believe that Mueller, say, hit a flush. I would have to think that he's either bluffing or that Mueller maybe slow played an ace.
Billirakis checking Mueller's stack. Does he want to push them all in? No, he folds.
Gives it up, and Mueller shows that he swaggle-foosed him.
So a great bet on the river by Mueller after Billirakis opened the door a crack, and Greg Mueller gets some of his chips back at this mixed limit championship table. The most prestigious prize in poker, a World Series gold bracelet, is up for grabs tonight with two players still in the running. 37-year-old Greg Mueller has closed the gap somewhat on 21-year-old Steve Billirakis.
Both looking for their first bracelet. Billirakis looking for a piece of history.
Mueller with King 3 offsuit. Will call the big blind. We are back to limit hold'em. Limits at 100,000, 200,000.
Billirakis says he plans to go to college after poker. Yeah, get back to me on that soon, buddy.
Billirakis with 7-8 offsuit. Checks his option. The flop is 7-7 king. What a flop for Billirakis. Trips sevens while Mueller pairs his king.
Boy, Billirakis decides to slow play it, and I think Mueller's also thinking he's slow playing his kings up.
Wow. Turn card 5 of clubs. No help to Mueller. Billirakis checked again, hoping FBT has something, and Mueller does bet 200,000.
Billirakis making sure he has what he thinks he has, and he does have what he thinks he has.
Billirakis now reaching for chips, making his move with a check raise. He's going to make it $400,000, and Mueller wastes no time in making the call.
Well, Mueller's got to worry not only about a 7, but he could lose to a better king.
It's an 8 of spades, gives Billirakis a full boat and the check mark. Billirakis leads out with $200,000.
And Mueller now knows it's one more bet, 5-1 on his. Oh, he looked like he was going to put it in. That's forward motion. Sometimes they make you put in that bet. He hasn't called yet.
Mueller with a pair of kings again does make the call and hates what he sees. A full house from Billirakis takes this huge pot.
And the kitty core is stoked.
Billirakis with a big win, and the Kings have not been kind to Greg Mueller.
I almost made you save $200,000 there.
You almost a smooth call?
I almost flipped my hand over when you didn't throw in your money yet.
When what?
You saw that. When you almost went like
that. Oh, yeah, I know.
Billirakis is right. What Mueller did ain't kosher. He motioned like he was going to be putting chips in.
Continuing this heads-up action at the Rio with limit play. Mueller looking at a huge mountain to climb. Out chip about 12-1 to Billirakis. And there is the gold bracelet. It will go on the wrist of one of these two players. Will it be Steve Billirakis making history as the youngest World Series champion ever?
Billirakis, low stacked much of the way, just snuck up on everybody at this final table.
Mueller was the day one chip leader of this 3-day tournament, and now he finds himself at the final table fighting for a championship. 5-4 of diamonds. From the small blind, he's going to raise it up to $200,000. That's most of his chips.
125.
Billirakis with whole cards of king, deuce.
Now that king is going to be good enough to push Mueller all in.
And yes, a raise to $300,000. Mueller pushes everything in. And an all-in and a call. Mueller with all his chips at risk. Billirakis on the edge of history.
Mueller has been frustrated as of late. And Billirakis, as you say, he can see the record book from here.
Joke. It's coming, buddy. It's coming. Double
Every
up
time
right
I had
here.
a big prayer, I ran into the cooler. It's
It's double up. Right now. Double up, baby. Still live.
Mueller all in and trailing Steve Billirakis, but he's got 2 live cards. And now the flop. It is Jack, Queen, Deuce. Billirakis paired his deuce, but that flop came up empty for Greg Mueller, who needs a lot of help to stay alive in this tournament.
Mueller still looking to pair his 5 or 4.
It's an 8 on the turn. Billirakis one step closer to his goal.
Mueller on the cusp of elimination. Billirakis on the cusp of history.
Steve's winning the bracelet right now, baby.
Mueller needs a 5 or a 4, or Billirakis will be the youngest bracelet winner ever.
It's a queen! And there you have it!
Good job, man.
Steve Billirakis is a World Series of Poker bracelet winner just 11 days after his 21st birthday.
He had hardly ever played limit poker, but boy, he made it look like the sky's the limit for such a young man.
Ooh, how do I lose this?
A disappointing runner-up finish for Greg Mueller. For Billirakis and his friends, it's time to party.
Can I borrow 50K?
Sweet dude. Opening night at the World Series was one to remember. 21-year-old Steve Billirakis owned the final table on his way to becoming the youngest World Series bracelet winner in history.
You said you are thinking about going back to school after poker. When is after poker going to be now?
Whenever I break Phil Hummus 10 bracelet record.
Congratulations, it was an incredibly impressive performance, Steve.
Oh, to be young again. For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. See you next time from the World Series of Poker.